It's short.
We have 8:30. Right, go ahead and call this special meeting in the Hill County Commissioners Court to order. This is the 30th day of June 2026 at 8:30 a.m. in the Hill County Courtroom. We do have a quorum present. We'll go ahead and go straight into open forum. Mr. Fox. Chris. You have 5 minutes, sir, if you would. It's a public forum. You can address anything on the agenda that you'd like. If I can find my phone.
Yeah, I'll find my timer.
All right, go ahead, sir.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners and Judge. I'm standing before you today to deliver a direct and urgent warning to Hill County. With the development of the hyperscale data development centers and have consequences far beyond the ordinary land use, and this court has not, to my knowledge, demonstrated the technical competence, transparency, or seriousness required to manage that threat. The scale of what is being introduced into this county demands informed leadership. At present, the public is to see hesitation, inadequate oversight, and dangerous lack of preparedness from the very officials responsible for protecting them. The land acquisition and market entry activities of these companies, such as Pacifico Energy and National Developers, are not ordinary commercial transactions. They represent a arrival of a massive power development scaling to the size of even bigger base load plants existing today to power our state. These are all private, all in the name of AI data advancement. Arbitrary approvals in rural county deserves more than quiet negotiations, vague assurances, and after the fact explanations. These projects require disciplined technical review, enforcement standards, and direct public accountability. Standards that at present seem that the county does not even possess the knowledge or the ability to gain the knowledge therein. These modern high-density centers, especially those built for artificial intelligence, GPU clusters, and advanced compute, being an industrial risk profile that must be confronted directly, not minimized, deferred, or buried in consultant language. I could go over the risks for hours and hours, but you've heard them many, many times before. The thermal acoustic, the vibration impacts, the weight, heat discharge, fire emergency response, electrical, battery energy storage systems, high voltage equipment, and mechanical systems all need to be reviewed, standard, and discussed. These are not speculative objections or anti-development talking points. They are measurable engineering realities. If the county does not demand proof, modeling constructs with proper negotiating abilities toward manageable outcomes within the county before any approvals move forward, then the burden shifts from the developer to the citizens, and those are the ones that are here today that have been here in the past, and they continue to fight against this problem. These projects intersect directly with state managed systems, including ERCOT, TECQ, Texas Water Code provisions, and environmental oversight frameworks. To my knowledge, with no less than personally dozen representatives and agencies I have met with over the last month in Austin, and now my own policy attorney, no one from this county has showed up, has spoken to any of the chairs of the 30 various Texas committees for guidance or help. This is not a Republican or Democrat issue, it's a human one. The citizens of Hill County are entitled to thorough disclosure of development agreements and incentives. Clear technical presentations submitted by prospective developers, including infrastructure concepts, power plant systems, type cooling systems, connectivity requirements, safety and environmental systems, and supply chains prior to the first bulldozer delivered to site. Public forums with the developer that allow meaningful input towards approvals. Anything less, absent of these elements, public confidence in the process is materially undermined. You will be held accountable, not by scare lawsuits, but by the citizens, by elections, activist groups, and months of federal injunctions brought forth by national NGOs on behalf of citizens, both within the county and within the state. This movement is growing. My recommendation, trying to be a friend to the county, is to retain independent technical experts with direct experience in data center infrastructure. No, I'm no longer volunteering here today. I am just as mad as the people around me. Implement a formal review and approval framework specific to high-density computing facilities, not some second-rate adopted checklist. Require publicly accessible reporting for all project parameters, meeting calls, communication agreements real time. Meetings with Kevin Pratt, with Eric Bleckenler, and with Rashid Breed, the Chief Engineer of Pacifico Energy Corporation. Establish a mandatory coordination with state regulatory authorities prior to project advancements. Hired a skilled negotiator for the benefit of the county and the community and not the fleecing of the county's resources. Fully governed deployment at the local level introduces vulnerabilities not just to the community, but to the broader regional, state, and national systems. Hill County has an opportunity to establish itself as the model for disciplined, transparent, and technical informed infrastructure governance. This is not a question of whether the development should occur. It's a question of whether it should be done responsibly, transparently, and with the necessary technical and policy rigor. I urge this court to take corrective steps. I'll end it with that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Hopner? And we did receive an email where Richard Hopner was yielding his time. He is on the line.
All right, good morning. All right, let me start by saying I do not look forward to coming here almost every week now. As you can see, I have no choice but to bring my children with me. I know they'd rather be doing things their friends are doing this summer, but instead I'm busy trying to save our home. I'd much rather be at the splash pad or pool right now or on vacation. So take that as a notice that I am here with the best of intentions and would like to note that I have been nothing but cordial and kind. I've dedicated my free time that I should have been working or doing things with my family, to researching, making phone calls, and reading all I can to address the issues that threaten my family. Let me be clear, none of this is an attack on anyone's character outside of this court, as I do not know you all outside of your jobs. So please hear what I'm going to say next, not as a belligerent bashing of you all up here, but a frustrating lived experience these last couple of months. Finding out about the proposed data center near my home came through shared information via public information requests. The Commissioner's Court nor the judge notified the public in any way. I've heard them say we don't know about these companies until they bought the land. Well, in this case, you knew and you didn't say a word. I first tried to get a hold of my commissioner on May 5th. I tried again twice on May 13th. He finally answered the phone on May 19th, in which we talked for 30 minutes. I had a simple questions and concerns. I asked the commissioner about having a different meeting time or an open forum, and he said he thought that would be a great idea. I was somewhat relieved, as I thought this was a good opportunity to find out more information about the data center and to help. I tried calling my commissioner again May 21st, 4 times over the span of a couple hours, nothing. Again, May 25th. Finally, I emailed him June 1st and again on the morning of June 2nd to please call me. I finally received a call that morning. Unfortunately, it did not go well. I had questions, I had ideas, but I was told over and over there were no NDAs or bribes. Yet, I had not once ever accused the commissioner or others or the judge of taking a bribe or signing anything. You can ask anyone I've talked to about this. I've not once said that ever. Towards the end of my phone call, I brought up the idea of changing a meeting time to an afternoon or an evening time at least once, where one of these big topics could be discussed as the commissioner had previously mentioned. The response was, if you want a new meeting time, you can elect a new commissioner. And if you think you can do it better than me, maybe you should run for commissioner. I again tried to call my commissioner 2 times on June 9th to notify him I saw surveyors on the land, as I thought it would be helpful for him to know. No answer, no response to my voicemails. Throughout this time, I've texted my commissioner, emailed him, and not received anything more than 2 30-minute phone conversations. But this isn't just about my commissioner, it's about the others as well. I've not received one response from any of them, not one email. Multiple emails, not one was about chewing anyone out. In fact, I offered help. I submitted documents and extras that I thought would be of service to the county. I get it. I'm not a county commissioner or judge. I'm a working mom, a homeschooling mom who has worked my tail off to do my part. You all keep saying come to meetings. Well, I've been here and I can't seem to get the same kind of attention like people who don't even live in this county or people who know you outside of this court. I will say that the judge has responded to a couple of my emails, so I do want to acknowledge that. However, a few weeks ago, I presented a letter here in court already proven to work in another county. I sent the documents to each commissioner and the judge as well as the attorney, if I remember correctly. Nothing from anyone. I sent the judge an email last week to ask about not seeing the letter I proposed on the agenda. I had discussed this with the judge in one phone call and I had with him a while back. I understood it wouldn't be on the next agenda. I also understood it wasn't a guarantee that something would be done. But I hope to see it on one of the following agendas as we had discussed at some point, but it was not. He let me know in his response last week that he could not open a few of the documents as they were in another program. I told him, had I known sooner, I would have sent them again in a different format. I want to know if anyone honestly had any intention of looking at the documents. Because if I had sent those attachments and they couldn't be opened, why didn't anyone say anything to me? Not the judge, commissioners, or attorneys said a word. In that email, he basically said they have to protect the county against more litigation, which I get. However, I've never once heard of a company suing a government entity just for asking a question and requesting a test that I'll remind you, you are legally allowed to ask for. I've also asked the county judge if he would be willing to do an open forum and he declined. I was nothing but inviting and accommodating in my invitation. I am still waiting on my open records request, which I sent a couple of months ago. I understand the county is delaying that by trying to get an exclusion for 1 or 2 meetings. I'm still waiting. 3 weeks ago, I realized I had not sent my request to the IT department for the same things as well as the commissioners themselves. Nobody has responded except the county attorney to my forwarded request from Jim. In my response, the attorney assured him that I was not trying to burden him, but thought this would expedite part of my request, as I believed each commissioner was in charge of their own emails and text messages with other county officials or companies involved in these projects. I know there's a lot of pressure right now, but unfortunately, that's the nature of this job. I know there were comments made about everybody being negative, but I'm sorry, if the frustration I'm experiencing right now is too negative, then maybe this isn't the right job. People haven't been super involved in this county because we haven't really had a need to be. And I think both the people in the commissioner's court have been fine with that. But now people are fighting for their homes and I'm tired of being ignored. I have just as much to lose in this as anyone in this county. And again, I'm sorry, but I'm not the person you're going to gain sympathy from for being too negative towards you. Day in and day out, my family carries a burden that none of you can possibly understand unless you're in it. The majority of my husband's career is negativity, not just from people who hate him or for what he does, but even from the very people he helps. And not just from those people, but through every channel you can possibly imagine. And yes, we know what a lawsuit is and what it's like to live it. So don't tell me I don't understand what it's like to be married to someone who has walked down that path. Nowhere am I justifying the negativity. What I'm simply saying is that it comes with the territory. And we as citizens are also allowed to be angry and upset when we are being ignored. When we feel like information is only reserved for a select few. Some people aren't having the same experience as me, but I can name a lot who are having the same experience. I get y'all aren't the ones building the data centers or the green energy projects. So yes, I'm angry at them too. But it's like y'all open the front door and just step to the side. You didn't even try to keep the door shut. Friday night, I was angry because the county has sat on this notice for 3.5 weeks. Nobody said a word. So now we're another 3.5 weeks behind on doing anything about this. Were all the commissioners aware or just the judge and attorney? If this sat for that long and they didn't know, I'd say that's a mistake. And if they all knew for that long, why didn't this get put on the agenda or a public platform so that people would have been notified the second you got it? Would people have been mad? Yes, but there would be no room for accusations had you released it the day after you got it. Transparency and lying are two different things. You can tell the truth and still not be transparent. I think that maybe sometimes when y'all hear me say transparency, you think I'm accusing you of lying. I'm most certainly not. If you are forthcoming about information and you know people have every interest in and can legally share, you should. That's transparency. Talking to your constituents, updating them on information in a timely manner, responding to emails, calls, texts, that's transparency. Finding out about a major life-altering project via public information request that the county has known about and still refuses to address, that's not transparency. Maybe 1 or 2 of you are working on this day and night. I can honestly say I have no earthly idea, but that's not for lack of trying to find out or to offer help or find you someone who can help. I know people will think I'm just here to be negative and bash, but I promise you that is not what I desire. Are my questions direct? Absolutely. When something is factually incorrect, do I press a little bit or ask questions to try to understand? Yes. But I am most certainly not condescending or insulting. I am respectful. I am asking for that same respect from each of you. Honestly, I think that if I wasn't a 35-year-old stay-at-home mom, I'd probably be easier to get the same respect in time that I've seen you give to others without pause. Perhaps if I was friends with you outside of this court, a social media influencer, or a grown man part of the good old boy system, I'd get the same respect. Every time I've come with a problem, I've offered a solution. So if any of you feel like I've presented myself differently, please let me know outside of this court, and I will humbly apologize for my mistakes. My friend reminded me the aim is godliness. Have I been perfect? By no means. And please, if I've offered up incorrect information or been wrong about something, please let me know. But I haven't called names. I haven't tried to report anyone to the state. I haven't accused anyone of getting any kind of deal. I'm here for my family and my neighbors to seek the truth, to offer help, to be involved, and to show my children that it's important to do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Linda Polly.
Good morning. Save Hill County, Texas Coalition Against Data Centers. We noticed that this morning you're having a workshop in regards to the fire marshal. We appreciate that. Our hope is that we move forward sooner than later. And we've been talking about this since March, and now here we're already at July. We know things do take time, but we're hoping that maybe we can light a fire into this and get it moving along more quickly. In viewing the documents that were posted online, we noticed that Harrison County and Como County were some of the references made. And for little statistics here, Harrison County has a little over 72,000 people, covers about 900 square miles. Then you have, but Van Zant wasn't included in that study, but Van Zant has about 66,000 people and covers about 843 square miles. Hill County, approximately 40K, and covers about 970 square miles. Then there was a comparison with Como County, which over 200,000 people, which we all know is a far larger population than what we're dealing with. So that being said, we started looking at what the average salaries were for a fire marshal all across the United States. We looked at a site that's called www.iafc.org. And with that being said, we found out that Texas ranks 5th in regards to salaries that are paid to fire marshals. In the state of Texas, the average pay is $66,255 a year. And so after us finding out this information, we did just a little more investigation on a deputy fire marshal, an environmental compliance officer, and then a chief deputy clerk, because all of these items were on one of the comparisons. I believe it was Harrison County. And so with that being said, the deputy fire marshal was like $50,336, environmental compliance $46,800, and a chief deputy clerk $46,504. And so then, of course, we can't forget, I mean, we've had uniform allowance, cell phone, social security, insurance, retirement, workers' comp, and unemployment. So you'll have to excuse me. We did this, but my computer ran out of ink. And so with that being said, we also took the liberty to do a job posting. We took different counties that were close to our size, and we took that information and we compiled it. We were hoping that maybe this helps you guys. You may use it, you may not. But I think you'll find when you do review it, that it has everything in there that applies to this county. And we look forward to hearing the day that we have a fire marshal. And I would also like the question is, has NextEra, Dion Zhang, been contacted in regards to the battery energy's service system that's proposed on the Jimmy Lehman property over there off of nineteen 46 on the other side of Pecan Creek. We still haven't received any information on that. We've tried calling again, and now he won't accept our phone calls. So that only leads me to think that possibly he was fibbing when he said originally that that project had been abandoned. We all know that every wind farm, every solar farm has a battery energy storage system. So I don't know if he's playing games, but we want to ask you again, would you please reach out and find out what the outcome is going to be over there? It's bad enough, all these disgusting turbines we have. Thank you, Mr. Lake. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Thank you, Mr. Crompton. And thank you, Justin Lewis, up there above us. So absolutely has ruined our whole community. So much for progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Lister?
Morning. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. So whenever y'all started looking at a fire marshal position, it really piqued my interest from the fire service standpoint. Being a volunteer fire chief in Covington, the code compliance it's near and dear. It's the only way that you kind of have any ability to ensure that the safety procedures that are available are being handled. So then I found out way more about fire code and the differences between municipal and county than I cared about. I come from the municipal side, being a fire inspector for the city I work for. And I figured out really quickly that the county and municipalities are two totally different deals. So I know it's much more difficult for county to enact certain codes, and they don't have the liberties that municipalities have. So I had pushed out an email to Judge Brassel with some of my ideas. Unfortunately, that was a lot based on municipalities. And once I figured out there was the state statute that dealt with the county law, figured out mine. A lot of differences there. Either way, as far as we don't have the ability to really pay a fire marshal properly, you get what you pay for with those folks. A lot of the times she mentioned that the pay scale in Texas, I think that one was a little low. Whenever you start looking at our area, you're not going to find a very good candidate at that point. If we're on a race against time, some of it's too late. I know the state of Texas lists the word vested as far as these data centers coming in. Once they've reached that vested point, then there's no way to enact fire code on them if you didn't have it in place prior to. So going forward, I would hope that time would that we would expedite the process, adopt a fire code, and the cheapest and easiest way to do this and get the code in place would be to contract out to a private firm. So you could adopt the code, get in with one of these firms, and they go out and they do the inspections. They ensure that the businesses are meeting the codes that the county has put in place. IFC is the strongest code, but there's also codes that accompany that go more towards data centers. One being the NFPA 833. So when adopting, I would encourage to look more into the targets that we're looking at. With these private firms, you basically set up a fee schedule, and the point of the fee schedule offsets the cost of the firm coming in. So it's self-sustained. The county establishes a fund. The applicants pay the fees that y'all have adopted. It goes directly into that fund. You pay the third-party service. Now, some people would caution that on the effect of the mom and pop small businesses. We don't really want to tax those people as much as what we would these large centers. It outlines that you go into a tier system, tier 1, tier 2. Tier 1 would basically be your smaller developments, your mom and pops. Those would go into the fact that you get in trouble if you decide to segregate or not and employ the code to certain people. So mom and pop would have to go in and apply just like everybody else, but their fee would be minimum. $0 to $25 is what a lot of places are doing, with example of Denton County. And once that application's been submitted, whoever in the county reviews it, they establish that it is a tier 1 style business. It gets pushed through. It's done. It's as if they did it the day before you enacted the code. But they still have to follow the same process that everybody else, so it keeps it legal. The tier 2 would fall more into the large industrials, your solar farms, your data centers and things of that nature. That's whenever the fee schedule would definitely come into play as far as square footage or the amount of kilowatts that they're dealing with, so on and so forth. And again, that cost offsets the cost of you going out and getting this third-party service to come in and do your inspection. I feel that we're in a rush, and I think by going through
Thank you, this. All right. We don't have anybody signed up online? Okay. Sure. All right, we'll move on into the court orders. Number 1, discuss interaction on a bond for Ms. Peavy. We had some other housekeeping issues, gentlemen, that's why it's not just the fire marshal. Anyway, this is a bond for Miss Peavy. We passed it, or we were gonna pass it last time, and there was an error from the bonding company, so we had to get them to reissue.
Good to go. Make a motion approved.
Second. Motion in the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Number 2, discuss interaction on, budget amendment in the amount of $18,465 from FM4 lateral number 4 to cover equipment repairs. This pretty good.
We're going to move that to cover a $49,000 repair to equipment. And the line item budget amendment would move funds from fuel and oil to capital outlay or District 4.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion in the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So, number 3, workshop regarding the establishment of Hill County Fire Marshal's Office, including consideration of organizational structure, qualifications, compensation, budgetary requirements, office location, equipment needs, information, timeline, and associated duties and responsibilities. So the new, not new state law, but we have to host 3 business days prior, not just 72 hours. Well, a lot can happen in 3 business days.
Yes.
So I did some suggestions from our constituents. We're reaching out to the city of Hillsborough. We discussed that last time. I reached out. They are wanting to talk to us about changing their firemen, which could speed up this process. I know, Jim, you talked to Johnson County Commissioner, and it took them a year to do this.
Yeah, they hired a fire marshal. In the process of getting and adopting all of the NFPA codes, there are 500 pages of National Fire codes, and they're all interrelated. And if you adopt one, so for instance, I did a little research on 855, and which is the one that's specific to data centers. If you adopt that code, you have to also adopt, for enforcement purposes, the NPFA Code 1, which includes the kitchen sink, which would essentially bankrupt our volunteer firefighters because of the insurance requirements. So Johnson County took a year and a half, and they're still not done going through the codes. Because if we specifically adopt we go through and do a cafeteria plan kind of adoption of the codes, then we run the risk of stepping on something else. So it's an arduous process. And there, Chris's idea may be a better idea, um, for getting us up and running, or using an established, fire marshal, Sharon Hillsborough. They've already probably gone through that.
That's my thought, is that they have, they have the guy. Two, they already have certain codes now, like Mr. Lister said, some of their codes we can't enforce, or he could not enforce because the municipality is different. But he's in the world of it, he knows these things, I think it would be pretty beneficial. And like you said, not take a year and a half.
Right. Well, we could sure adopt the ones, that are specific to the situation in the rural part of the county, and fold that into that relationship with him and the city.
And I don't know what they're asking, I don't know, they just said they would be open to the discussion, and I got this email yesterday afternoon. So,
Well, I think as a backup plan, maybe it would be prudent for us to at least go through and structure. In the event we didn't get that relationship established, go ahead and structure what ours would look like. With respect to salary. You would initially hire someone and come up with the salary range, hire someone that was competent, qualified, and then have them go through those codes and build that department at the same time, because you're gonna need more than just a fire marshal. I mean, we need a fire marshal, we need an investigator, we need a deputy fire marshal, in order to do this properly and plan for county growth. What say you?
How long has Johnson County had a fire marshal?
Right at a year and a half, and they're not near finished adopting the codes.
So good.
So I know that Van Zandt, when they got their fire marshal, they started out part-time, I think they've got 6-7 people in that office now. But that was a while back, so their fire marshal did start out part-time. And then they were able to bring them in full-time, then they have environmental specialists, deputies, all that stuff. And then, so.
thank you, this isn't the public portion of the meeting, so I'm not really supposed to lag.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Oh, he was talking to the commissioner, I'm sorry, yeah, unless we recognize you, then, yeah, no. It's a workshop between the commissioners, but she has a very valid point, and I talked to the Van Zandt County Commissioner and the Van Zandt County Judge. And about their program, they're doing some interesting things, so far their stuff is holding up, they think they're pretty confident that it's going to hold until the election. And then we'll see what happens with all the things they passed.
What about Waxahachie? They have a county fire marshal?
They have a couple, they have, I believe Mr. Jackson told me it was, 5, 6. Six, yeah.
No, but
And they did the same thing though, they built their own code out, and it took them, Mr. Jackson, how long did it take them?
It took them 2 years,
2 years.
and they're on IFC 2022 right now. They're in the process of going to 2024.
Right. So I've had Lieutenant Jackson reaching out to other counties, how they're doing it, what they pay, all of those things. So with in light of Hillsborough's wanting to talk about it, I felt like we should definitely, I guess one thing from this workshop was I'm gonna ask for permission from the court to go and talk to Hillsborough about what that would look like. Obviously, I would not enter into any agreement, but that would be one thing I'm gonna ask.
and all those counties are 100 million plus budget.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no,
I have
yeah,
the money to do
Waxahachie's got $1 zillion, yeah, they all have lots of money, but, and you know, I understand we'd love to fully staff it and have 6, 7 people in it, like Van Zant or like Waxahachie, but starting with one is a good start.
Well, we would have to have someone to interface with that department anyway, even if we contracted them on a part-time basis, right? I mean, we're,
But, and my, my go-to is throw development services at it. They've got office personnel that are there that are able to be located for somebody to submit some type of permitting to. They can answer the phone, and then if you contracted, then that would be who would be making the phone calls between the contractors. And I would kind of envision in my mind, you guys tell me what you think, but in my mind, I would envision the same thing. If you contracted with the city of Hillsborough, then they would still just work with the development services. Because if there's a septic going in, development services knows, you know, and then we can catch a project that way, or a driveway permit and
if we,
911 address.
if we tie it to the 911 address and we tie it to culvert permit,
But you can't put strings on that. I'm not gonna give you this unless you can't do that. Where if you come up
if
and
we
have
have
a
the-
legal address and pay the money, then.
if we have
to give
those
them a permit.
codes in place though,
No, that's different.
they have to abide by those before
Correct.
they go to Plan B,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And part of that is submitting the plan. And that's where all of this has been negotiated in the back room, and we're in the dark until it's over.
And what's interesting, we found out that many projects are moving away from best systems. So even if you have fire code that restricts a best system, they may not even have best on site. Which is interesting. That's a pivot from the industry because they know this is. Yeah.
Could we go out for applications to see what would come in? That somebody might have more knowledge than,
We have
Mr. Parker?
It would be a good idea for us to work with some neighboring counties on honestly. This is very new territory. There is a lot of requirements for a fire marshal. That all of us are unaware of, except for maybe Mr. Lutzker and Mr. Jackson.
we've got that.
That's one of the,
You forgot.
with his world. I feel that there's a lot of unknown questions right now, which is why we can't have a description. We cannot exit applications for something that doesn't exist. And then we put in a line for it not meeting the requirements. The salaries differ greatly from county to county. You also really want to have a lot of counties where it has been fully, because it's not required, which is why we have some other counties that are larger, which they do have more money than us. So I think to get someone of this nature that is very well qualified is going to cost us a substantial amount of money. I mean, by the time you do social security, retirement, all of it, benefits for permanent, depending on it, workers' compensation, and leave is the liability insurance, their oaths, everything. You're looking at easily $750,000. I mean, just right after July. So that's my side of it. We can put that and give some questions to the public as to why we haven't published the job description. Or accepted applications, because we can't accept something that doesn't exist yet.
You lean more towards contracting.
Well, we understand there's gonna be a financial commitment, but we can't let that stop us from planning for the future. We can't. We have to set the foundation for this and put it in motion, or we'll never get it done. And there's all kinds of reasons not to do it. And it's a daunting task, no question. But I think that we need to take whatever positive steps we can take to move that forward.
Let me go with the contract motion. Agreed. And that's
starting place anyway.
Okay.
We get in it.
But I mean, you can contract either one, Hillsborough or a private entity. Establish fire code. And then if we decide we need to hire our own guy, we get busy enough, we can hire our own guy or girl, and then be plenty of time to put together a proper job description. Um. Let me look at our agenda items, so. As far as officing, we already kind of discussed that last time, but. I've got a closet over there at Sport Services that we can put them in and they can see it. Not much more than a closet, it is a closet. The organizational structure, we kicked around a couple of different ideas. I think it should be a standalone office. Answerable to the court. Kind of like development services or elections where I manage day to day. But in reality, the court is the governor, the boss, if you will. That's the way I think would be the most efficient. And then, but it's talking about information timeline, information timeline. That's a tough one to put a time on, but. I would like to be able to come back Tuesday and have information either Hillsborough's got this great idea and we're down, or I've contacted private and here's what their suggestion and cost will be. I will, yes. That's assuming I can get a meeting with the before Tuesday.
So in the process of establishing this, it makes sense to me. You did a lot of deep dive research on other job descriptions, Rachel.
Yeah.
She may have had a hand in pulling some of those together, but it looks like the salary range could be anywhere from, I've got a guy that's an industrial firefighter that's willing to help and go through all of the certifications he needs for $55,000 a year. And then if you go, if we hire somebody, independent third party in the interim, I think at some point, we're gonna need to push somebody into that role anyway, under development services.
So, and then another thing, Mr. Lidster, Chief Lidster, sorry, I keep saying Mr. Chief Lidster had brought up was, that it doesn't have to be a TCO certified fireman.
Right,
There's no reason.
because of our population.
Because of our population. Matter of fact, the requirements, from what I've read, correct me if I'm wrong, Lieutenant Jackson, are pretty slim to none.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just send them off for some training.
Right.
But yeah, because it's under 100,000 people, he doesn't have to hold a single license. He
Which is
doesn't
a
have-
little scary.
He doesn't have to have any TCFP licenses, he doesn't have to have a TCO license.
So-
The downside is this, any enforcement is done by the court. So, the civil actions.
But and then Chief Lister made the suggestion that it would be called a fire inspector. Or fire coordinator, fire prevention coordinator, something to that effect. We can AI terms for it. Basically to where that person is doing exactly what we're asking them to do as far as inspecting these facilities, but we're not having to look for the $100,000, $150,000 salary for a guy that holds.
Yeah, like I said, this guy said he would do it. He's got all kinds of certifications, but he would go get whatever. Very qualified. And has fought industrial fires pretty much all his career. And he said he did it for 55, and the range is probably from 55 to 100. Depending on, you're gonna get what you get, right? Unless somebody just has more money than they need and they're doing it out of their community service work.
That doesn't happen often.
That doesn't happen often.
People will say that. So let's, I don't know,
Job description.
in my estimation. We need to move forward with contacting private one and a meeting with Hillsborough. I worry that I can get a meeting with Hillsborough before next Tuesday. So. Think so? Sometimes. So I'm gonna try to set a meeting with Hillsborough prior to next Tuesday so we can have information from there. I'll also see if I can't find information from some type of private inspector. And what their recommendation is gonna be, because if we call them, they're gonna be like, okay, yeah, we'll come inspect for you. What codes do you have? And I'll be like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, talking about the code. You forgot about the code.
Yeah, so, but I imagine that they would also, I'm sure for the low price, be willing to help us with that as well. Sounds good to me. Meanwhile, I've got this job description that is provided in open forum, and we've got job descriptions that were provided to you as well. If, while I'm doing that, if you gentlemen will mark those job descriptions up the way that you want them. In case we have to hire our own or choose to hire our own at one time. Also, Miss Parker has given out our salary scale. Is that what that's called? Figure out where you want to be on that for this position. And everybody will bring our information back and we will readdress this on Tuesday. At our next, we have corporate, I keep saying we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you follow up on
You could call one. Just get an agenda out
what
there.
we did. Call them left and right. Might as well call them. Let me see if I can get a meeting with Hillsborough, because otherwise there's no reason to call them. So I'll reach out to them today. If I can get a meeting with them before Tuesday, then I will
Put an agenda.
put it on agenda tomorrow. Yeah.
So the structure will really depend on those conversations.
I think so.
Yeah, with either third party or.
Yeah.
Hillsborough
Yeah.
or something.
I think so, because then you're not in a rush to get a job description, the salary, all that. All we're gonna do is negotiate price and service starts when and. What do you want us to do? What codes enforced? Yeah, what codes enforced? So the actual meat of the deal.
So coming out, we done them.
Okay.
So coming out, if we
We can move it
want
number
to formalize that, we'll make a motion. Give you the authority to call them and make those conversations happen.
Do I need a motion for that?
I didn't hear what you said.
Do we need a motion to allow me to have those conversations with Hillsborough? I didn't think so. Cause I'm not gonna enter into any agreement. I'm just letting you guys know that's what I'm ready information. Yeah. Same with private contractor. And then again, if you gentlemen will look through these job listings and kind of build that office for me while I meet with these, we'll get something done. And I'll either post an agenda today or we'll have to wait for the 14th. Depending on their schedule at the city and schedule as well. So I don't believe there's any action needs to be dealt with out of the workshop. As far as votable action, obviously there's plenty of work.
Any action.
So we'll be, no action on number 4, we'll be doing number 5 for 2 pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. The Hill County Commissioners Court will meet in closed executive session to consult with the attorney on current litigation regarding Mercy on the Hill, LLC, plaintiff, Hill County, Dane Brassel, Jim Holcomb, Larry Compton, the United States District Court, Western Division of Texas Division of Waco, civil action 626 CV 00340, and the revision of the Hill County Major Industrial Development Review Checklist and required submittal. All right, so we will be going into executive session.
You doing all right? Y'all have to